So to continue with the theme, there's the marina, there's San Francisco and the bridge. This is the yacht club. Right behind it, right there in the center of the screen, is the little bar. Sorry if I don't sound all that excited. There's the old bridge behind the new bridge. This is where you can see those boats kind of underneath. If you can see those boats underneath, is this playing still? Yes, it is. It just gave me a weird screen saying that Google Play had stopped working, which I don't know why that is. The boats that are underneath that main upright over there, those are that's a protected area because they're tearing the boat apart, or that big weird looking bridge in the background, the metal one, apart. Connor, the guy that I bought the boat from, demanded that I come out here absolutely right now, or else he was going to sell the boat to the first guy to show up, just so that he'd be out from under it, even though I was offering to pay the taxes on it. So Jerry, my blind buddy, loaned me the money to fly out here, rent that little blue Corolla right there from a lousy little rental place. But I mean, it's a great rental place in comparison to the big guys. But it wasn't, that's a 15-year-old car, so that gives you an idea. So anyway, this morning at 4:30, I get a text from Jerry telling me that he missed my text last night saying that I made it because he was asleep. And then when I called him at 5:30, about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, he told me Hoshi is missing, my dog. She dug a hole into the fence and took off. So immensely stressed out. I cannot even come close to explaining to you how freaked out I am. And I'm 1,300 miles away and can't do anything except think about how she got run over by a car, which she may have or may not have, I don't know. So anyway, they moved the boat. It used to be down there. Now it's right here. You can see that hatch we had covered up with a towel. We put some Gorilla Tape around the leaky lip so that the boat doesn't fill up with water. But you can get a good look. Don't have an anchor locker, just have this chain hole, anchor chain hole. Not sure what I think of that. Only have one pole, and I don't remember what that one's called. It's not the spinnaker pole, it's the other one. As you get close, you can see this is the hatches, or these are the hatches we're going to replace, or I'm going to replace. They're not that high end. And then, although this rope fell down, you can see what I'm talking about on these windows being yellow all around the outer edge. And you might be able to kind of see that fake stained glass stuff underneath. I'm going to replace this steel handrail with some new teak ones that'll run all the way up. And you can see they used to already be there. They're all epoxy filled holes, but so they don't leak, but this handrail is going to get hot in the sun. This is where the water goes in. This is where the waste comes out. I can't decide if I like those or if I don't like those. I mean, there's technically nothing really wrong with them. I just don't know if I prefer those over the other kind. So this is what I was talking about dry and crazed, and both of these are like this. So I'm going to replace both of them with, well, I'm going to replace one of them with a brand new one. The other side I'm going to build a thing to put the navigation system in right there. These are Variant 28. This one's a Variant 26. And I guess these two are the same, Variant 28 and a Variant 26. And these up here are Variant 22s. And those are a little nicer than these ones down below, or at least they look like they are. So here we go. Let's see what we can get for a video inside here. It's a disaster in here, by the way, so I apologize for the mess. But as you stand in the companionway, see, so you can still see the companionway right here. There's the mast up there. There's the mast. This is 2 bags of sails that I couldn't fit into a stowage. I had them in the pilot berth back here where I slept last night, and the nav station, my cup of coffee, bunch of crank winches, and I've got shore power up there. As you can see, I've got a tactic. I need to put these out in the sun today so that they can recharge. It also gave me a whole battery warning light. So my guess is that wherever the depth sensor and speed sensor is for this is, wherever it is in the hull, which I haven't dug it up yet, it's probably under one of these 2 settees. That battery is dead on those. I thought it would have been plugged into the boat. So anyway, picked up the space heater last time I was here with Jerry. Here's my little 2-burner gimbaled stove. These plates and dishes and all that stuff where the previous guy bought them to try to fancify the interior of the boat. I've been making coffee, so I got my block of sugar from last time we were here. And there's a cooler under here. My little sink. It's got salt and fresh. The salt pump is not currently working. It's cracked. So here, if I can figure out a way to pull this up, you can see into my fridge down in there. And it does have a refrigerator compressor in there. However, if you go back out here and you open this stowage right there, this thing is the inverter for this compressor, and the compressor actually looks pretty good, but this inverter looks terrible. And I got online and looked at that part number right there, and basically that was one of the main complaints, was that it's terrible. It's just a piece of junk. So there's one of my new hatches. There's another one somewhere in here, but there's 4 small ones right there for the for the sides of the for those windows up there, for these, here you can really see these cheesy stained glass. Purpose of this stuff was to keep the marina from seeing that the guy was living on the boat. This one doesn't have it, but it is fairly scratched up, as you can see there. And technically, this one here, you can't see through that at all. So we've got sheets of this acrylic looking stuff down here. It's called Acrylon. It looks like Macrolon, Mac, C-M-A-K-R-O-L-O-N. And I have to look up and make sure that that's going to be the right stuff to cut new windows out of, or will it craze and fall apart in the sun. That fishing pole and net are the ones that came with it, but these are what are considered the race berths. So these down here, these couches, are considered the settees. These up here are called race berths. That one and this one that has this little mini fridge in it that also came with the boat. And then that's the pilot berth, and it actually goes pretty far up in there. But it used to have a wall where you can see that cockpit kind of wall, and whoever had it before took that down. Behind these sheets over here is literally bare painted fiberglass, just like this wall here. You see, look at the grain of that fiberglass cloth they used. It's amazing. So I was really worried about how much water we might have taken in. We had a few rainstorms here in San Francisco while I was gone, and that's all the water we got. And that's from rains and rains and rains and rain. It was much, much worse last time we were here before I installed that pump. So this used to be a wet locker, and all of its interior is gone. Previous guy put this one piece of wood in here. All right, so as you could hear on that, my phone rang halfway through the videotape, and the answer was Hoshi, my little black border collie ridgeback mix. She dug that hole under the fence, and she went she went 2 doors down the road. The neighbors called the animal control, who came out and took her into the animal control. So the sheriff's called up Jerry after he called them early this morning. And so she's found, she's alive and safe. He's going to go pick her up as soon as they actually unlock the doors to the animal control at 11. That's what he's doing right now, so I thank him for hunting Hoshi down. Oh boy, was I freaked out. So anyway, this is the propane oil stove. Supposedly there's a can of oil inside of here, is what I looked at online. I haven't looked at this exact model, but that tends to be the way this goes. So this is basically one of those on a much smaller scale that runs on propane, and this one's just got a regulator right here. See, the guy that installed this is an idiot, and basically he installed the stove just fine. This plate's fine, the spacing's fine, the height's fine, the distance from both sides is fine. I might put like a rail around here just to keep Jerry, the blind guy, from bumping into that thing if it's hot. But here's the problem is, first off, see the kinks? He obviously just bent this himself. And so the chimney runs up and it goes through this hole right here that's just a hole. I mean, literally, look at this. We're going to walk outside. I covered it up with last time I was here because there was water just pouring down in the rainstorm. So that's what I did, was I gorilla taped it around and over the top, and that seems to have helped keep the water out. But if you started a fire in that, it's going to burn a good, 5-6 inch hole in the cabin of this boat. That boot thing is not really stopping water. I saw one video from another guy that showed that you can modify that, and you can buy this fluid that you take that ring out and you put a seal in the bottom, and then you fill in the gap with this basically like an epoxy stuff that makes a somewhat permanent but semi-flexible seal. So this is the hatch I'm going to replace with the one we saw in there. Oh yeah, and then it's actually, because of the way this boat is arranged, you stand up here and you look back, these 2 chain plates run through the pathway basically. Usually this cable wouldn't be here. This is one of the rigging cables that are in my hand here, but you have to basically go around to these either on the right or on the left. But all the way up there, they're definitely there. So I'm going to try to take a look at all the stuff that's up with this boat while I'm here. I was really hoping, oh, here's that towel that was on the boat in the picture. I wondered if that was still around or not. As you can see, I put Gorilla Tape on that window too because it was leaking when I was here before. But on here, this is another variant 22 I forgot about up here on the front. I'm guessing that pulls the mast up most likely, or the main. But I'm not really 100%. I haven't messed with any of that yet, and I may change some of the rigging. I do like that one. I didn't even notice that last time I was here. I don't think that material in there is probably all that great anymore. It's a little funky, but I kind of like the way that block works. It's kind of cool. So anyway, I would have preferred if this boat had this rail or this track up here, but it just doesn't work with the configuration of this boat. It's not really going to be a big deal to have it here, but 6-to-1, that kind of thing. There's a little bit of a leak right there, or was last time I was here. So that's basically what I've got going on. I feel very relieved, by the way, that my dog was found. I felt absolutely helpless out there. So here's where we were when I left. You can see there's no floor really in here. It drains right to the floor. This guy glued this carpet stuff into here, and he put a shower curtain up to keep, to make it look like it was enclosed. Very cheesy. And a little bit of water damage back here, but you can kind of get an idea where the shelf used to be. There used to be a pole right there for your wet locker, like I said. This board here is probably the worst one on the boat. It had a pretty bad leak up here in the front at some point, and so this board, which runs right up the hull right here and across, is just, you know, Swiss cheese. I mean, it's spongy, but it's very thin. I would guess that it's probably it's probably only a ½ inch thick, so it's probably 2/4 inch thick plies, you know, attached to each other. And it should be pretty easy to replace. It looks like you can pull out these little bunghole things, whatever they call those, and pop this whole sheet out and replace it. And then this is basically a brand new manual head. The box and everything are over there, and the guy that's supposed to be here to sign this title to me right now he said there was no toilet in here, or no head in here, when he sold the boat 7 months ago, is what it turns out. You know, there's plumbing. I could probably turn this into some sort of stowage, but there's the hole's right there. I mean, there's really no space for moving around in there. And here's the bathroom sink. Runs off that pump on the floor. This, you know, first off, we got this little latch so that you can close this door off, have some privacy. Right there, if you can see that, there's a clear plastic hose with a kink in it. Well, that clear plastic hose with a kink in it, that's the vent for the, you know, for the sewage tank. So when you're flushing this and you're pumping it into the tank, the air can't get through that kink, and it basically causes the tank to push out a little, basically like a fart inside the boat. And it's quite foul. If the tank is full, I guess it'll even spew a little bit of fluid out, which of course ends up in the bilge. So personally, I'm not using that toilet right now. It needs some work. And the tank's pretty much empty. There's a little bit of something in the bottom, but it's not, I don't think it's sewage. When I opened the boat last night, it didn't really smell bad in here at all. It wasn't really even, you know, I mean, it had the mildewy smell that it had when I first bought the boat. And my guess is that I'll track that down in a while. There's the pump that's not working, and it's disconnected. The hoses are plugged. And then, oh wow, that is an unusually low amount of water and oil underneath there. I thought there'd be more. This motor runs like a top. I mean, like the second you try to start it, it fires right up, and it's only a 2-cylinder, 17 horsepower universal, which is designed and built by, or was designed originally by Kubota. The difference being that pump right there on the front that's a different color is the coolant pump. So this thing fires right up. When Jerry and I were here last time, we replaced that belt because the one that was on it was the wrong size and it was very loose. The issue is when you start it up, it starts leaking oil from right down in here. And I can't quite figure out where it's coming from. It might be coming from up here. There is a... See, I don't know what this hose is doing. This hose right here that's going into a beer can, I don't know what its purpose is. And this is part of why I'm, you know, okay with being here at the moment. That hose right there, that fitting, is where a hose is supposed to go, and it's not going to there. And I don't know why. trying to compensate for your reversals.
Yeah, well, you know. You're the one that's dyslexic, not me here.
Yes, that's it.